Hello to all of my peeps. It's so good to see you here today from my chair, episode 112. Actually, we're not from my chair. We're from our boat. Daddy Edge's boat is called Our Happy Place. And we're on vacation this week. And Lord willing, this is going to be premiered when we get back home from it. But I wanted you in this space also. After all, why not? We've been across the world together. Why not on vacation too? We're on Lake Sinclair in Eatonton, Georgia. Me and my handsome cameraman and my hunka burning love. We're riding around and we're enjoying a beautiful day. It's supposed to rain, but God's given us an amazing spot of clear weather a little bit so that we can video these. If you would permit me to push pause on reviewing our personality boxes and discuss something that I've been thinking about this week. We chose this particular spot this morning because I wanted to show you a very visual illustration of something that I've been thinking about this week. And it will help with the truth for today. And it's not the prettiest spot in the lake. It's not. There's these things that are sticking up in the back that you're fixing to see. And again, if boats come past us and stuff, it's okay. We're just out in the middle of the lake. I think these back here are quite ugly. I do. They're kind of unsightly. They're ugly, and it takes away from the natural beauty of the lake and the water and the trees. But they're necessary. These are called hazard buoys, and as ugly as I think they are, they're absolutely necessary to any body of water. It's a very visual reminder that there's something in that space right there that has the potential to damage your boat and or your body. And a hazard buoy is a spot that we stay away from. Everybody stays away from those things when we're going on the lake. We steer clear of those. It's a place that we have to avoid. Most times they're attached to warn you of tree branches or roots that are too close to the surface. We saw one over a few minutes ago or yesterday that a tree, just this humongous limb, it's a tree just sticking up out of the water, and we have to stay clear of that as we're boating and as we're playing in things. Sometimes it's a patch of rocks that could ruin a boat propeller. We stay clear of the hazard buoys. Bottom line, we know to stay away. There's a verse in Philippians that caught my attention the other day. It's Philippians chapter number 3. Verse number 15. It says this: let us therefore, as many as be perfect, and that word perfect doesn't mean without spot and blameless. It means complete and whole, balanced. Let us therefore, as many as be perfect, be thus minded. Now watch this. And if in anything ye be otherwise minded. Hold on to that phrase for a second. If in anything ye be otherwise minded, God shall reveal even this unto you. That term, otherwise minded, it got me to thinking. In other words, this is how you're thinking, but it's not the right way to think. You're otherwise minded. You're looking at this thing inappropriately, wrongly, and I want you to pay attention to that. I want you to change your thinking in this matter, in this area. There are traits in my personality box that I don't like about myself. There are traits in your personality box that you just don't like about yourself. I get it. They drive a wedge between myself and those that I love, and yours does too. Those things that you're like, I just don't like this about me. They drive a wedge between those that you love. They are, watch, give a description here. They are actions and attitudes that the Holy Spirit of God has revealed to me and to you, that they fit into this category of otherwise minded. In other words, stop thinking that way. This is not the mind that I want you to have about this certain thing, about this attitude or this action. They are thoughts, their attitudes, their actions, their beliefs that are not perfect. They're not complete. They're not whole. They're not mature. They're not balanced. But watch this, okay? So I was thinking about this the other day. Once the Holy Spirit reveals those things to your heart and to your mind and to your thinking, what are you supposed to do with what you've been shown? He's like, I'm going to reveal it to you. If you're otherwise minded in these areas, I'm going to show you. I'm going to reveal it to you. But wait, what do you do after you have been shown these spaces in your personality box that you don't like, or those areas, as those attitudes that aren't Christ-like? They're not perfect, they're not complete, they're not whole. Well, for me personally, I'm just going to let you in on what I do with them. I've got to acknowledge that those are areas that I need to avoid. So sometimes we're very good at poo-pooing them and pushing them. Oh, that's not me, that's them. I'm good. Just deal with it. But when the Holy Spirit reveals something to you that is otherwise minded, you have to do something. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge, oh man, that's me. Goodness gracious. That's not the right mentality. That's not the right attitude. So then I've got to acknowledge that those are areas that I need to avoid, and therefore I must mark them. Watch, I'm going to make it all come full circle here. I must place hazard buoys around those areas to keep me away from them. When the Holy Spirit reveals such a place to you that is otherwise minded, quickly, very quickly, fasten a hazard buoy to that thought or that attitude or that fear. This makes me afraid every stinking time. Okay, put a hazard buoy there and avoid it. Stay away from it. That temperament, that inner struggle, that sinful vice. If you know a sinful vice just gets you every time, put a hazard buoy there and stay away from it. Stay away from it. Those things that you know trigger anxiety or depression. If you know something triggers anxiety for you or triggers depression and depressing thoughts for you, fasten these things. Fasten these a hazard buoy to that thing or that mentality or that mood or that space. Fasten a hazard buoy so that you can avoid it and stay away from it. Put them down to keep you away from those dangerous spaces. Let me say this. We'll get real specific for a second. For some of you, the hazard buoy needs to be placed around toxic people that you choose to continually hang around. Yes, I'm talking about people. There are toxic people that can really drag you down. And it's okay to protect your spirit. You know, it's okay to protect you and your spirit. Though there are people that in your realm whose sole purpose is to drag you into the muck and mire of their drama-filled world. That's their sole purpose. That's their sole mentality. And they want to drag you down with them. And most of the time, it's not so that you can help them. It's so that you can be miserable and pitiful with them. Look, put a hazard buoy down and say, you know what? I'll mentor you. I'll be your spiritual, godly counselor. But I don't want to hang around you all day, every day. I don't want to involve myself in tons of conversation and communication because you're going to gossip. Or you're going to be bash everybody and the leadership and things. No, put a hazard buoy down and steer clear as much as is possible. Steer clear from toxic people to protect you from being otherwise minded. Set some boundaries. Set some boundaries of communication and set some limits of communication around those type of people. I know. You saw them, because the wind's taking us around, but you saw them. They're ugly. They're ugly. They're white. They're red. They've got signs on them. They just take away from the natural beauty, and they detract from the beauty of the lake. But not having them, not having them as markers to warn us would be even uglier, wouldn't it? Permit me to hand you a very real, very fresh, very personal illustration from the last couple days, just to illustrate the truth. When we walked into the Verbo house that we're staying in this week, I noticed a hazard area. Very, very bad hazard area. No one knew it. Nobody knew it but myself. It was a path of thinking that had the potential to make the week extra hard for myself, for my hunka burning love, for my handsome cameraman, and for my father-in-law too. And I did not want to. It had the potential to, and I noticed it as a hazard. This is our first vacation without my beautiful mother-in-law. She made everything perfect. She made everything fun. Everything's perfect and fun. She always thought of everything. Things that I would not think about, she thought about them. She fussed over us. Boy, she fussed over us. Constantly, the whole week, fussed over us. We walked in, I took on the mentality that it was my responsibility, my sole responsibility, to be Sarah Edge and Tabitha Edge on vacation. But the problem was, I kept messing up on both of those tasks. I just kept failing and messing up on both of those tasks. By Sunday night, I was frustrated to tears. I even burned a pizza. I know, I charred it. Goodness gracious, I burned a pizza. I haven't burned anything since. But I burned one of our pizzas. Thankfully, we had another one to help us and feed us, and we're not lacking for food or anything. But I was so frustrated. So, what did you do, Miss Edge? Okay, all right. I offloaded it to a dear peep who isn't afraid to speak the truth to me. And making myself accountable. Remember I was talking about accountability, the accountability factor. I have to make myself accountable to people, a couple people in my life. I did, and number two, I acknowledged that it was an otherwise minded space for me, an otherwise minded thought process for me. And number three, I placed some hazard buoys. My peep guided me through with some thought processes and some scriptures, and helped me put some hazard buoys to steer me away from that very flawed and dangerous thinking for the week. Let me just tell you, everything changed. Everything changed after that. I'm doing me. But those hazard buoys had to be placed because that was an area of thinking and a mentality that I had to stop. I had to stop, steer clear of it, stay away from it, and I needed to do me, and that's what we've been doing, being who I need to be and doing what I need to do, and it has changed everything. It's changed everything. The Holy Spirit has helped in that. But look, when He reveals something to you, and if in anything you be otherwise minded, God shall reveal even this unto you. But when He reveals it to you, do you put down the hazard buoys? What do you do with it? Look at it and say, you know what, I need to stay away from that thinking. I need to stay away from that mentality, that attitude, those words, those people. I need to steer clear of that because it's dangerous. It's dangerous for me. And so I want us to think about that and steering clear of those. When the Holy Spirit reveals those, mark them so that you can stay away from them and have the mentality that you're supposed to have. Don't forget, Lydia at 11 in her journey to remain cancer-free. Now go be amazing today.